We've
Yeah.
got a young man on the island who's helping people in the retail space accept Bitcoins, and it's quite funny watching it really, because you set them up with their wallet on their phone, and then they transfer their Sats, and then they're like, so what do I do with it now? And you're like, you can give it to someone else if you want, like your cash, because and it's such a new thing to try and understand. I mean, my parents don't understand it, and yet they've invested in it, and that's brilliant. But it does take time, doesn't it? My mum is like well into ChatGPT at the moment. She loves it, but it will come, won't it? It will come through people. And
Gary V, who
now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Gary V explained it and said no one will ever there will be never a need for a takeaway. People won't want to eat out. If people want to eat out, they'll go to a restaurant. They won't ever order a takeaway. Oh, well, okay, so then takeaways open up. Right, all of a sudden takeaways are a viable part of, okay, so no one will ever deliver a takeaway to your house. No one will ever go on, make the telephone call, the takeaway is arriving. Now we've transferred sort of 5, 10 years, 15 years, our lifetime. You're now on an app, okay, maybe not in Alderney, but you're on an app with a Deliveroo, looking at what you want, tap, 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 and then it's delivered to your door. It's the space of consumerism or how we engage and how we pay and how we sort of transfer cash, for want of a word, or is changing. And like everything, it takes time for other people to get up to speed with it. But the Bitcoin bubble is not a bubble anymore.
Hell no, man. It's serious. And annoyingly, it's like, Ethereum hasn't gone through that same growth. And it's a shame, because I used to work a lot with with Ethereum, and I was running crypto meetups. So, and actually back then, there was still, Bitcoin hadn't really had it exploded a little bit, but people were actually building on the Ethereum blockchain. And for anyone that doesn't really understand the differences, it's kind of like Bitcoin's like a store of value. It's like just cash, and Ethereum's like the app store. You can build these decentralized applications, making it very secure, meaning you basically can't hack it unless you take over, more than half the network. But back then, everyone was so ingrained in the details that we didn't see the bigger picture. And that bigger picture is, well, what happens when a few of these big whales, these multi-billionaires decide to start investing in Bitcoin? It's like, oh Jesus, suddenly people are using it now, and I think
that's happened, hasn't it?
It's happening. It's happening more and more and more. But I love the idea. It's mutable. I love the fact that the inflation has absolutely killed the West. The fact that we've been printing money through quantitative easing just for for crises. And I understand a crisis. I mean, fair enough. But when suddenly you look at your bills and they're doubling in cases, and you're going, but I'm just and particularly like with pensions, I feel so sorry for pensioners right now, because they literally have worked their whole life to make sure that they get to retire and have a great life. And now what we're saying is that actually that money's no longer worth what it was, and now it's worth half. So you better go find a job. And that's nuts to me, So the fact that with Bitcoin, it can only really keep getting bigger, and who knows what's going to happen, like one day something terrible could happen in the world. I don't know. No one actually has a clue, but actually knowing a little bit about everything is a very good idea. I also know that sometimes when I know a little bit about everything, I also know that I know a lot about nothing,